Okay, everybody, what a day. What we witnessed today on a global scale with regard to debt or bonds was truly eye-opening. And I want to talk about that and a whole bunch of other things. So let's talk about this market. It got walloped today. Walloped. Stocks dropped across the board. Bigger than that, and I want to go back to that in a second, was the debt market action. Again, this morning, there was a sell-off in the debt market, which was pretty interesting. We saw what happened here. We had bond yields rising. Cash was leaving the debt market. And then we get what can only be called the creme de la creme with regard to the worst possible economic news that we could have got here in the United States. And this is the manufacturing sector falling off of a cliff. I mean cratering. Let me put another perspective on that for you. United States manufacturing is 12% of GDP, half of our exports. Okay, so you can't minimize this. I know there were a lot of people trying to minimize it, for whatever reason, whatever their motive might be. This is tremendous, and it's part of the pattern that we've been witnessing, sadly, with regard to our country's economy. It is absolutely melting down. And to prove that point, when this news came out today, global bond yields dropped. Not just here in the United States. This was a global phenomenon. Think about why. The United States economy, although we are the largest debtor nation the world has ever seen, and every minute we are more indebted than a minute prior, and it's exploding to the upside like we have never seen, worse than under President Obama. The debt expansion under President Trump eclipses Obama. You don't believe me? Look it up for yourself. Okay, so this is a very ominous message to the world that the world's largest economy is in a lot of trouble. So the drop in global yields, it's a major safety trade. Now, with that said, the dollar didn't get that knee-jerk higher that it usually does. The dollar finished about flat. Now, why would that happen? Well, I think at least that the market understands what's about to happen to the dollar. The dollar is about to go under full-blown attack. That means, again, in order to keep this illusion real, an enormous, and I can't underscore that word enough, an enormous amount of debt is going to need to be put onto your back, onto your children's back and their unborn children, just to keep this real. Now, again, why is it that President Trump is outspending in a faster period of time President Obama? Well, I've outlined this for you. That's the nature of the beast. Don't think it's just Greg beating up on the president. No, I've explained to you that every president in the current environment must outspend the last just to keep things where they are. You're not supposed to know this. All right. You're supposed to think that debts and deficits exploding to the upside like we've never seen before, this is normal. No, it's not normal. It needs to happen to sustain where we are, because without the relentless acquisition of debt in perpetuity, this becomes real. Okay, now I've explained to you again, the goal of banks and the central banks is to become the lenders and buyers of last resort. World banks want to own the world. That's their goal. I know it sounds like some science fiction. That's why, again, the Federal Reserve is doing what it's doing right now. There's all this backdoor debt issuance and buying that most people have no idea it's actually happening. It's never spoken about. But I've alluded to this so many times over the past, I don't know how many years. World central banks, to keep their balance sheets looking, well, maybe a lot cleaner than they are buying each other's debt. Okay? Should be no secret to you if you follow this blog. So what you're seeing at face value, whatever they're telling you the debt is, you have to also understand it's leveraged. Okay, so example, X amount of $1 trillion that the United States is in debt. Now, none of this is dollar for dollar. None of it. It's all leveraged at least 10 times. Now, I want you to think about another secret you're not supposed to know. There are layers upon layers upon layers of derivative bets of debt underneath every dollar that you see. You're not supposed to know this. This is why the global debt can never be measured. Our debt can never be measured. It's in the quadrillions. And without vastly expanding it, well, this all becomes real very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Now, the president today was out bashing the Federal Reserve, blaming the Fed for his failure with regard to what happened to manufacturing, falling to a 1-decade low. He's explaining the Federal Reserve is keeping the dollar too strong. His words. He wants the dollar weaker. What does that mean for you? What would it mean if your dollar now lost, let's say, 10% of its purchasing power? Well, it would take 10% more of your dollars to buy the same thing. The president will not explain this to you. He just can't do it. Because again, he has to keep his base brainwashed and programmed to thinking a weaker dollar is a good thing. He also came out and explained that the Federal Reserve is keeping rates too high. He wants rates suppressed 0 or below. Now, we all understand it's a no-brainer. A weaker dollar, 0 and negative rates is incredibly bullish for the multinational corporations, the military-industrial complex. But how does it help you as a member of the middle class? This is communism, like I've explained to you in the video from this morning. This is why the president today congratulated China on their anniversary of communism. He is a communist. He is making sure that the middle class, okay, is subsidizing corporate America, the military-industrial complex, the stock market, by being robbed absolutely and completely blind. Now, for those who think make America great again, no, make America great again means convert whatever's left of America into a two-tier society that has the have-nots and bring full-blown communism and fascism right here into our country. Forget about socialism. We are way beyond that. We already have socialism. You know that. We socialize everything. Our government subsidizes everything? No, you do. You're paying for big pharma. You're subsidizing big oil too. Speaking about big oil, did you see what happened to oil today? So they're jawboning with OPEC floating out that rumor that they were going to cut production. Yeah, it worked initially, but why did crude sell off towards the end of the day? It should be pretty obvious to you. This abysmal round of economic news, manufacturing here in the United States cratering, means, well, there's going to be less demand. So they're going to need to do something else, and you should be very afraid about what is up their sleeve. They will not allow crude oil to fall. But again, crude oil greases the wheels of the military-industrial complex. Okay? Everything you're seeing now is geared to supporting the military-industrial complex. This president is the spokesperson for the military-industrial complex. He, again, calling for a weaker dollar, calling for 0 rates, negative rates, supports the military-industrial complex and forces you to pay for it. No matter where you are in the world, that should tell you something. Again, look what happened to global bond yields after the manufacturing sector cratered today. Globally, they plunged. So that should tell you a lot, people. It really should. Look, you need to ponder all of these things. And I'm not sitting here bashing anyone. I bashed the living hell out of Obama. You all know that if you follow this blog. I explained to you what he was doing. The president, the current president, as candidate Trump, the guy had it right. And then again, once they sit in that pretty Oval Office, I think they have a sit down with the ones that really control the world, and they're showed the way it works, and they're given a script to read. And if they don't, well, action will be taken against them at that particular time. But it's a show. The president is the spokesperson, not for you or me or anyone in the world, for the military-industrial complex. Every effort imaginable is being done to keep the military-industrial complex getting stronger, allowing the banks to fulfill their multiple decade-long goal, which is to be the buyers and lenders of last resort, to establish a two-tier society, and to keep people from opening their mouths, to keep them silent, to keep them distracted. You understand? That's really the core of what is going on here. Earlier, I posted on Twitter, I posted on Facebook, a couple of my social networks. I said, tweet the president at Real Donald Trump and ask him how dollar devaluation, he's calling it dollar intervention, how suppressed interest rates are going to help you as a member of the middle class. Again, it's a no-brainer. It will help the corporation's military-industrial complex, but how will it help you? And a lot of people wrote back and said, Greg, this is a waste of time. That's how they win. By you sitting silent, by you thinking, I can't do anything about it, so I'm not going to, it's a state of learned helplessness. I always have a problem with that word. They're counting on you, believing you have no voice. They want you silent. The three enemies of man are very obvious: ignorance, fanaticism, and tyranny. Okay? Those three things have been used as weapons against mankind by the controlling class for centuries. And we're witnessing it again here. Ignorance seeks to keep your mouth shut. They don't want you to speak out. Fanaticism strikes you at your convictions, at what you believe in. Okay? Tyranny rules with an iron fist and will do whatever it needs to do to eliminate you. And if that means they have to kill you, well, then that's what they'll do. This is what we have all witnessed for centuries. It is going on now, and it will never stop. But if you understand that ignorance, fanaticism, and tyranny are your enemy, then you know exactly what you should be doing about it. You need to speak out. You need to understand that your convictions are going to strike you right where your convictions are, no matter what they may be. And in the end, if that doesn't work, they will take you out. Period. The end. Now listen, I know this has been kind of a long video, but I want to end off with this. So yesterday I said to you that when the meltdown comes, I'm going to retire from YouTube. Let me explain this to you, what I mean. This here, what I do for you, this puts a lot of stress on me. It really does. And I love all of you. And that's the only reason I come out here, to do this, to try to enlighten you, to let you see what's happening around you. And, you know, you can disagree with me, and that's fine. But I think for the most part, I get it right. And even with this particular video, with outlining what I just did for you, but sometimes it gets to me, it really does. And I was really kind of fed up yesterday. Look, I will never let you down. You all know that. I will never let you down. And when this thing does melt down, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose their lives. This comes down to a resource issue, which I've explained to you since forever. That's why the debt needs to continue to be inflated. They can't stop. It's the nature of the beast. They don't want to stop. And that's why so much effort is going into keeping things propped up. Because when this thing goes, this is going to be the end all. The bubble to end all bubbles. And whoever comes out of this, and I'm not even saying I will, at the end, and I'm talking in the literal sense, when this thing breaks loose, there's going to be pandemonium on a global scale. Martial law, military law. People are going to be looking for blood in the streets. As the system that they've come to know and told is real, well, becomes very real. And the debt-based economic model melts down. That is the goal. The end result is, again, to foster a massive wealth transfer on an unprecedented scale. And most people in the end here who are not on the right side of this will not survive. Even those that are on the right side. Because I believe we are looking down the barrel of a worst case scenario meltdown. Look at the desperation here on a global scale. Look at the plan that is going on where we have guys like President Trump, Mario Draghi, and others calling for weaker currency. How does that help the middle class? Calling for suppressed and negative rates. How does that help the middle class? They're squeezing everything they can right out of you. And most people are absolutely oblivious to it. They don't have the guts to stand up anymore. They've been silenced. They have been absolutely silenced. So anyway, like I was going back to here, I'm not going anywhere. I will be here for you. I won't let you down. And with that said, I'm going to start something new. This is the first of the month. On the first of the month, I'm going to ask for your support. If you think I am doing a good job here, well, you know what? You can help this blog, which is not my thing. This is our thing. Something I've been talking about for I don't know how long. You want to support this blog? Of course, you're under no obligation to do this. But if you feel this is important, if you feel that this is our thing, well, there's a link in the description of this video. Click on it. Support this blog. I would greatly appreciate it. I really would. All right, now with that said, I am going to end this video with, I love all of you. That's the truth. Ponder what I have discussed in this video. Think about the three enemies of man and how the ruling class have used these three things against all of us for centuries. It's not going to stop. See you in the morning. Please share this video.